Honestly, using hearing aids has been one of the biggest quality of life improvements I have experienced. It has been such a big deal that I hope I can make a video all about it sometime. Okay, it's time to pay my dues. Here's the hearing aid story, but first, please don't take medical advice from a YouTube video. I am not a doctor, I can't diagnose you with anything. Please don't make major financial decisions based on a YouTube video. Please seek professional assessment and treatment. Okay, on with the video. Ever since I was a kid, I have struggled to understand people when they speak. When a normal person hears things, words in the air turn into words in their brain. When I hear things, words in the air turn into a mess in my brain. I usually describe it as dyslexia, but for hearing. My hearing tests show that my hearing is normal for my age. I hear all the noises fine, I just can't make the noises I hear into words in my head. This means that a lot of spoken words fly right over me. I would estimate that without my hearing aids, I mishear at least a third of the words spoken to me. Over my lifetime, I've gotten really good at filling in the blanks. Context clues and lip reading help a lot, and all my friends know to turn on subtitles if we're watching a show together. But when I don't have these supports, things can get pretty messy. I have a hard time distinguishing speech from background noises, so cluttered soundscapes turn into meaningless coffee shop chatter pretty quick. Music with lyrics is especially weird for me. I actually don't like to look up a song's lyrics because the version of the song in my head is usually way cooler, and looking up lyrics is like watching the movie to your favorite book. It replaces that amorphous, cloudy version of the book or song that was true to you. When I try to sing along to songs, I'm like an anime fan singing their favorite OP because I mumble through most of the song that I don't understand, and then bang out the part or two that is actually intelligible. It ain't me. It ain't me. In the moment-to-moment, my auditory experience is not terribly unpleasant. To me, hearing sound is a lot like looking at an impressionist painting. I can make out a lot of shapes and colors and general vibes, but there's this soft film laid over the soundscape that makes things bleed together. It's the same effect that makes lo-fi music calming. The soft, hazy quality gives your brain permission to let go of the finer details. I think that's why I like thunderstorm sounds so much. I like them so much that my house is full of speakers playing them. It adds this cozy auditory blanket that bleeds into the edges of everything else I hear. Unfortunately, the difficulties I have with understanding words do affect my daily life. I work in a hospital in an inpatient unit, and this tends to be a noisy environment where people talk over each other a lot. And there are serious consequences to mishearing something. Fortunately, I am very good at making sure that I don't mishear something important. When someone says something important to me, I always echo it back to them in my own words to make sure that I understood. And then I write it down on my clipboard to make sure that it doesn't slip away. The problem is that all of this error correction takes time and energy, so there's always the risk that I'll be too slow to keep up with this fast-paced dynamic work environment those job descriptions always talk about. In lower stakes environments like hanging out with friends, it can also be a problem. If I'm in a group of people and everyone's talking, it can be really hard to follow what everyone's saying, and that makes it hard for me to involve myself in the conversation. As time goes on, people will pick up on the fact that I don't interact much, so they'll talk to me less. When that happens, I get discouraged, so then I try less, and then they notice I'm trying less, and it keeps going as I slip silently into the background of the group. It can also be really rough on your self-esteem when you mishear people a lot. I spent a lot of my life thinking I just wasn't smart enough to understand conversations. Like, that's literally what the word dumb means. It means you struggle to speak. That's the thing with disabilities. It's so easy to blame yourself for your struggles when actually, you just need some help. If there is something you need help with, please do not think it means you are dumb. It is okay to need help. Anyways, this is where we get to the hearing aids. You see, there's a range of frequencies that spoken words tend to occupy. In cases like mine, using hearing aids to gently boost some of those frequencies can sometimes help a lot. It helps the words stand out from the background sounds in the same way that those dyslexia fonts make the letters easier to distinguish. My first day with hearing aids was magical. When I drove to work, I was listening to this song, and I could immediately tell that something was different. It was like this hazy film between me and the music was removed, like it was right there in my head. The whole day was like that. When people talked, the words just appeared in my head and I didn't have to struggle to understand them. It kind of reminds me of what it was like to try glasses for the first time. There was this magical moment when the lenses slid into place and suddenly, the world was in focus. Imagine that, but with sound. I was so much faster and better at my job because I didn't have to wait for my brain to try to parse through everything. At one point, I was talking to a friend who happens to have a strong accent, and I wanted to cry because it was so much easier for me to understand her. I also feel like my hearing aids help to take the edge off unpleasant noises, but that's a lot more anecdotal, so take this part with a grain of salt. I think the general idea is that closed domes on hearing aids can do a little bit to block out bad noises, and then the computer processing in the hearing aid smooths noises out before they get passed through to your ear. I just know that when I have my hearing aids in, loud and unpleasant noises bother me less. Anyways, I should be clear that while they help me a lot, the hearing aids haven't been a silver bullet. I do still have trouble understanding people, but when that happens, the hearing aids make it much easier to ask people to be patient with me. Sometimes if I've had to ask someone to repeat themselves multiple times, I'll say something like, "Sorry, my hearing aids aren't quite picking that up. Would you mind writing it down for me?" And people are always really cool and understanding. Older patients sometimes get this look of relief on their face because often they are hard of hearing too, and when I say something like that, it helps to remove the stigma around it. So thank you, hearing aids. Thank you for helping me to understand my friends.